The war between the humans and the Juireans is fast approaching. Disparate forces are each working their way toward a major conflict, with the outcome unknown to both. Our human heroes, Adam Kane, Riyad Tarazi, and Shuri Valentine, are just now discovering an awful truth, even as their unknown enemy, the Juireans, are learning hard truths of their own. The adventures of Adam Kane, the alien with an attitude, continue. Senior Overlord Yan Wal-Ramel closed the file on his computer and stood from his desk. He moved to the spacious grooming station in his stateroom aboard the Class 7 starship UN-444 and splashed water on his face before calling up a strong intoxicant beverage from the dietary module. Once refreshed, the Overlord returned to his desk to mentally digest the information he'd just received. What he had learned did not please him, not in the least. It was the autopsy report on the creatures recovered at the Battle of Xylem 4, including the bodies of the two dead Klin. Since no one in the expansion had seen a Klin in the flesh for nearly 4,000 years, even a dead one, the information was of mild interest to the rapt historian within the Overlord. The significance of this discovery was still working its way through his consciousness. What impact it would have on the expansion remained to be seen, but undoubtedly it would be major. Unless, of course, it was overshadowed by the revelations in the second part of the report he just read. This concerned the other race of beings involved in the Xylem 4 battle, that of the creatures called humans. Although the Klin autopsy had not produced any real surprises. After all, Klin were probably the oldest known race in the Alliance. The report on the humans had left Yan Wal with a feeling of foreboding of which he was very unfamiliar. As the report related, the humans were primes, as were 80% of the known superior races in the galaxy, yet there were features within their anatomy which set them apart from most of the others. First of all, their bodies had remarkably dense bone structure and muscle mass, accompanied by a thick, tenacious skin that formed an almost impervious barrier against the elements. In addition, the report surmised that the humans came from a heavy gravity world. From Yan Wal's brief exposure to the creatures, this conflicted with what he knew of other such species, since the humans did not display any of the slothfulness that was generally associated with heavy worlders. In fact, these humans possessed a sophisticated range of coordination, quickness, cunning, and even uncanny intelligence, traits he had never before experienced in creatures with such a planetary heritage. The Overlord furrowed his wide brow even more when considering the possible scenarios of the coming clash with the humans upon their point of origin. Even as he sat in his stateroom, the Overlord knew incredible forces were massing around him for an assault of the human homeworld, a planet they called Earth. The battle would come months in the future, yet the planning and execution of the attack was the responsibility of him and his senior military staff. In normal circumstances, Yan Wal would have considered such a duty an honor, yet the events of the past few weeks had shaken his confidence to a level that both infuriated and perplexed the senior Overlord. First, there was the space battle off the planet Dimlo, where his fleet had nearly been destroyed in the first encounter with the humans. Even though the conflict had resulted in a Juirean victory, Yan Wal was inclined to accept Fleet Commander Sigor's assessment that the battle had been lost, until the humans deliberately sabotaged the outcome in favor of the Juireans. Why they would do this was just another of the enigmas surrounding this barbaric race. Next was the ground battle on the mining world of Xylem 4. At its conclusion, Yan Wal counted 432 of his most skilled Juirean guard among the dead, with only 63 of the humans as casualties. It was the single largest loss of Juirean life in a ground battle since the Lyman Pulsus uprising over 1,000 years before. In the 17 major ground battles that took place during that conflict, a little over 1,000 of the guard had been killed, and that was against an entire planet. Now, Yan Wal had experienced nearly half as many casualties in a single battle and against only a handful of untrained and ill-equipped humans. In the aftermath of these two encounters, Yan Wal had participated in dozens of conferences with the Council, during which he sensed no blame for these events directed solely at him. The Council was more pragmatic. All they wanted was a resolution to the current crisis. Yet personally, Yan Wal placed much of the blame for the losses squarely on his shoulders. Although he acknowledged that the humans had been an unknown entity at the time, he had consistently underestimated the savages. He knew now it had been his Juirean arrogance that had not allowed him to believe that the humans were nothing more than an annoyance, and that it was the Klin who were the true threat to the expansion. In light of his knowledge of history, the senior overlord did his best to forgive himself, but it did not come easy. After all, Yan Melk was a Juirean, as well as one of the highest-ranking officials in the government. And as everyone knew, Juireans claimed the title of undisputed rulers of the known galaxy. Since Kaler and Jim were the primary pilots aboard the huge battlecruiser, Adam had allowed the two aliens to claim the captain and XO quarters directly off the bridge. They were able to adjust the gravity for this section of the ship to a more comfortable level, while the humans kept the rest of the ship up to their much heavier standard. The arrangement worked well for everyone. The ready room was located just off the captain's quarters, and Kaler and Jim were already there when Adam and Sherry entered. A 3-meter-long table jutted out from the rear bulkhead, with chairs on either side. A monitor was mounted on the bulkhead at the end of the table. Adam could see the look of worry on Kaler's face.
"What's going on?"
he asked, as he and Sherry took seats on the opposite side of the table from the two aliens.
"We may have a problem,"
Kaler said without preamble.
"Jim picked up a massive gravity wave about a day ago that nearly collided with us."
"What does that mean?"
Sherry asked.
"It bolted past us as if we were standing still,"
Jim said, bobbing in his chair, visibly agitated.
"It was a communication pod."
Sherry shook her head.
"I still don't follow."
Jim cocked his head at her.
When a region of space is without communication relays, the fastest way to communicate is to send physical communication pods. These are small craft with incredibly large gravity generators. They can travel at many times the speed of even Class 5 ships like this one. This pod is following the same track as we are, heading for Earth.
Adam leaned in closer to the table.
"You're saying someone sent a communication pod to Earth. Where did it come from?"
"Somewhere in the Fringe, but that is not the worst of it,"
Kaler said.
"Go on."
"The pod was sent in the open, with its message broadcasting continuously."
Sherry shook her head.
"Listen, guys, we're not up on all the intricacies of intergalactic communications. What are you trying to say?"
Kaler stared back at her for a moment before answering.
"It means anyone can intercept its message, as well as trace the pod to its final destination."
Adam suddenly went pale.
"So the Juireans could learn the location of Earth."
"Correct. And the message. Tell them, Jim."
Both humans shifted their stunned stares to the tiny alien.
The message was encrypted, but nothing elaborate. Very basic, as a matter of fact. Using the equipment aboard, I was able to decipher the message.
He looked down at the datapad he held in his hand.
Existence of humans and Earth have been exposed. Along with our association with the Clin, we have engaged the Juireans off Dimlo and on Zulim 4. The Juirean forces appear to be weaker than anticipated. Our Clin advisors have recommended that the time to begin our invasion of Juirean space should be within 3 years. It has been projected that we will have sufficient forces by then. The human race should be able to secure vast sections of Juirean space before they are fully aware of our capabilities. At the time of the invasion, the Juireans will not be able to resist our incursion into their space. However, it is imperative that our plans remain secret since our forces on Earth are still in preparation. The 3-year timetable for invasion appears reasonable. Juireans still believe Clin to be the major threat. We will work on this end to keep up the deception.
There was a deathly silence in the room for several seconds, as Adam and Sherry simply stared at Jim. Finally, Adam broke the silence.
"What the hell is going on? This is complete bullshit."
Sherry shifted her gaze to Adam.
"You've been away from Earth for only about a year. Is there something going on there that I need to know about?"
"Of course not. I'm in the military, and in a very special branch and unit. If there was something big going on, I'm sure the SEALs would have been part of it, and especially my team. This message is a total fabrication."
"Then why would your people send it?"
"I might have an opinion on that,"
came a voice from the doorway to the ready room. Everyone at the table jumped and turned in that direction.
"We didn't send it,"
Riyadh Tarazi stated flatly from the open doorway.
"What are you doing here?"
Kaler asked, while Jim crowded closer to the rear bulkhead and away from the doorway.
"You know, you really shouldn't call a meeting without inviting me. My experience in matters of subterfuge could come in handy. And besides, you really should shut the door if you hope to have a secret meeting."
He moved into the room and pulled a 5th chair from near the door and placed it at the end of the table.
"The Clin sent the message,"
he stated as he sat down.
"And why would they do that?"
Sherry asked sarcastically. Riyadh pursed his lips and nodded.
"Why would they? I've been spending a lot of time trying to correlate all the things that have happened over the past few months. A lot of them just haven't made any sense."
No shit,
Adam said.
nothing out here makes sense.
In a way, it does.
Riyadh countered.
Consider there are three major players in this game: the Juireans, the Clean, and now us, meaning those creepy 2G guys. I was particularly confused when the 2Gs threw the battle at Dimlo and then committed suicide after feeding the Juireans that line of bullshit about humans being the new force in the galaxy. And now this message. I think we all know that Earth is in no position to take on the Juirean Expansion.
A diversion.
Adam called out.
The Clyn are diverting attention from them, to us.
That's obvious.
Riyadh said.
The question is why. It simply can't be so that the Juireans will leave them alone. They appear to have set the Juireans against the Earth, even going so far as to reveal the planet's location to them with this broadcast.
But we'll be destroyed.
Sherry said, her voice trembling.
We may be badass one-on-one, but we can't stand up against their spaceships and energy weapons.
Exactly. We wouldn't last a day against an attack from space.
Kaler cleared his throat.
Could it be that the Clyn are your enemy? Has your race wronged them in such a way that they would want you destroyed?
All three humans shook their heads.
Not that I'm aware of.
Adam answered for them.
Remember, it's been the Clyn who have been coming to Earth and taking us away, and if they wanted to, the Clyn have the ships and weapons to wipe us out themselves, if that was their goal. They don't need the Juireans to do it for them.
Riyadh shook his head.
I didn't say I had all the answers. Just about who sent the message. It's obvious someone wants the Juireans to believe that the humans are more than what we are. And I'm sure it's not coming from us. We wouldn't be bluffing with something this big. I think about what my friend Saddam Hussein did back before the main war with the Americans. He tried to bluff with the fact that he had weapons of mass destruction just so the Americans would not attack. And we all know what happened then.
We don't,
said Kaler. Riyadh just looked at him and smiled.
Let's just say it didn't work out very well for him. If you're going to bluff, you had better be prepared to be called.
I still don't understand.
Never mind that.
Adam said impatiently.
Riyadh, you once believed that the Clyn are building a human army to fight the Juireans. I've come to believe that too. Now they're sending the Juireans to Earth, where we have no force capable of defeating them.
Adam's eyes suddenly grew wide, as did Riyadh's. Then Adam blurted.
It's a trap.
What are you talking about?
Sherry asked, frustration in her voice. Adam turned to her.
Don't you see? The Clyn have set it up so that a large Juirean force will arrive at Earth. Then they plan on unleashing their human army against them there, much like they did off Dimlo. Rather than have their human army fight battle after battle deep in the heart of Juirean territory, there will be one major battle, and against a force that is expecting the humans to still be preparing for an invasion. The Juireans have no choice but to attack now, before they believe us to be fully battle-ready.
We will be ready.
Riyadh picked up the dialogue.
The Clyn would not have set these actions in motion without making sure of that.
So, you're saying we have nothing to worry about?
There was skepticism in Sherry's voice.
The Clyn and their 2G army are going to step in at the last minute and save the Earth from destruction? That's taking a lot for granted, isn't it?
That sobered up the other two humans in the room. Adam nodded.
I know we're assuming a lot, but why else would the Clyn be doing this? According to Riyadh. And now in this message. The Clyn seem hell-bent on making the Juireans believe that we're a threat to them. What we're saying makes the most sense.
So, what do we do now?
Riyadh and Adam looked at each other. Then they shrugged.
Oh, great.
Sherry said, rolling her eyes.
We just continue on, as if we have nothing to worry about while the greatest battle in the history of history is about to take place.
Kaler cleared his throat again.
Just say it, Kaler.
Adam barked at him.
You do realize we are in a Juirean battlecruiser, and according to you, heading into a massive fleet of humans and Clyn bent on destroying anything that resembles a Juirean.
The three humans stared at him for several shocked seconds before Adam cleared his own throat.
Ah, good point, Kaler. That's definitely something we'll have to keep in mind as we get closer to Earth.
Sherry shot him a piercing look.
Yeah, no shit, Sherlock.
This has been an excerpt from The War of Pawns, book number 3 in the Human Chronicles Saga by sci-fi author T.R. Harris. You can continue the HFY adventure by checking out the novel and series on Amazon by following the links below. Other passages from within this book, and many others, will be posted on this channel. You can find all 70+ novels by T.R. Harris on Amazon or by going to his website at bytrharris.com. If you enjoyed this story, please subscribe to the channel and hit the like button. Your support is greatly appreciated. All material on this channel is human-generated, except for the associated artwork and synthetic voices, which were created through AI. From T.R. Harris. Beginning over 12 years ago, I was one of the original authors of HFY material showing humans to be the supermen of the galaxy. My goal was to turn every person on Earth into a superman or woman simply because they were human. All my stories carry that same theme. Humans fuck, yeah. All stories on this channel are original and written by author T.R. Harris. Copyright by Tom Harris Creations, LLC.